big series, obviously. Two of probably the top three nations in the game going head to head. I think the challenge for India is always going to be the conditions. Playing in England, swinging Duke ball, how a fairly inexperienced batting lineup is going to handle that, because they've had some key retirements to their batting lineup. So, going across to the UK, there is going to be an experience gap. I mean, there's certainly not a talent gap, but there will be an experience gap in terms of dealing with conditions and how to go about the pressures of a long tour with the crowds in England, the media, and performing consistently. I think India's bowling attack, what they would hope is that, who's been incredible in Test cricket, Shami, gets back to fitness and finds some form. Jasprit Bumra is unbelievable, but he's going to need support. And, who's the next young seamer that comes along? And I guess maybe India, to a degree, will be hoping for a dry summer. They've got some incredible spin all-round options. But England play well at home. The confidence that they get in front of their fans, Stokes is fit again, and I'm sure he wants to have a big summer. Key for them is, can their batters outside route be consistent? And if they can, then I think it's going to be a tough tour for India. It's going to be hard. Two iconic Indian cricketers that have travelled the world. So you're losing the leadership, you're losing the experience, and you're losing the quality with the bat. So on all levels, and when that happens, all that pressure and responsibility shifts onto other shoulders. Whereas they would be the attention grabbers arriving in England, the cameras, the media. And it almost allows everyone else to fly a little bit under the radar and get their preparation done. That's going to be entirely different now. Could it be a Shipman Gill, should it be Jaiswal or Jasprit Bumra? And new people have to carry that can and make sure that they take the responsibility and develop the team and get the team ready for what's about to come. So it's a huge loss, but in many ways an opportunity for someone else to stand up. I think the thing about India is that they always can carry, because they're financially strong, they always carry a slightly bigger squad than everybody else. So I expect them to have most of their bases covered. I think what they would be hoping is that it's not a wet summer. We've seen spring be quite dry and warm in the UK. And they'll be hoping that pitches flatten out, get a little bit drier, so less swing, less seam, and maybe conditions they're a little bit more accustomed to, which also then helps them balance their team with the likes of Jadeja and so on, so they can bring their all-round and spin options into play. And I think it will be better for their batters if that's the type of summer. If it's wet and it's nipping around, it's going to be a tough one. The England side's a little bit unpredictable. Baz and Ben Stokes, they tend to pick players, that you wouldn't expect. So, they pick on talent and type of player rather than kind of consistent performance. But they have had a fairly, settled team for a period of time. I think it's going to be interesting to see how their bowlers go in the preparation for the Indian series. That's going to be interesting to watch, to see what those combinations are. But the challenge for them in their recent series has been the consistency of their top order. Outside Joe Root, who's been, magnificent, the batters around him have struggled for consistency. So I think in the build-up to this series, if those batters can find runs and find confidence and settle down, I think that will help them a lot. All around the world, he's been outstanding. His skill levels just... He's got pace, he's got angles, he's got the ability to move the ball both ways. Almost got a bit of unpredictability about him, X factor, which is terrific to watch. I think the challenge that Bumra finds in his career now is that potentially he could be the leader. That's extra responsibility. And also who supports him. I think if we look at recent series, and reasons he's picked up injuries is that his workload in those series is they keep having to turn to him to go and make the impact or bowl the extra overs. And it's going to get harder and harder for him to do that. Certainly he's had a couple of back injuries now. So I think the combinations around Bumra will make Bumra even better. So if he can find people to support him, whether it's Siraj, it's Shami, it's Prasidh Krishna, whoever it's going to be, those are going to be key to getting the best out of Bumra. When I used to look at series, I always used to think about, obviously the best players, but who's the players that hold the game together that allow other people to play. In our time, maybe Peterson was the best, the most attacking player and could take the game away from you. But could he do that if they were losing wickets and didn't have a solid trot or Alistair Cook around him, for example? So I think Root is that cog in that England lineup. 13,000 runs, speaks for himself. He's a legend of the game. But he's such a key pillar in that batting lineup that allows everyone else to play this attacking format that they do and take the game on. So he would be a person, if I was in the Indian sort of leadership ranks that I would be thinking about how they go about, knocking him over. Who's the key bowlers that you want to use against him, and how do you keep his runs down in the series? I think it's a big one for England at home. Obviously, India come with wherever they go, they deal with huge expectation. Obviously, with the fanaticism of their fans, the support for Indian cricket is enormous. So I think those players, even though they've lost the experience of Kohli and Rohit, they're still exposed to a lot more pressure. But I think around this England squad, it's had a lot of razzmatazz. It probably hasn't achieved the results that they would have liked. They've certainly changed the style of play. They've brought excitement to Test cricket. But if you look down in it, it probably fundamentally hasn't produced the results that they would have liked on a consistent basis. So knowing Baz well, that'll be irking him. So I think this is a big series for them, a big statement series for this England team to kind of set a marker in the sand and say, we're here and we mean business. Especially with an Ashes year approaching, there's a lot of pressure on this Test lineup. I expect England to play their way. I don't think a change in approach will happen. Not under Stokes and McCullum. They'll look to be positive. It's great to watch. I mean, they're under pressure for results, but for us that are just watching and enjoying the game, it's terrific to watch these little battles and nuances that are happening. I think it can also work against India. That suddenly, they're scoring at 4 or 5 runs and over. You're under pressure. How do you, they have to start factoring that into their selection. Do you have to have a Jadeja there that can control the game for you and allow other people to attack? We've seen Australia use in-out fields and just, really try and use that tactic against them. So it's going to be interesting to watch. There's going to be a lot of nuance, especially in those first 2 Test matches, to see, who sets up the series and what the battles are. I'm going to go with the home team in the series. I think that they'll be up for it. They do play well at home. I think consistently the results at home have been the best. They do know how to be successful there. I think if their batters can find form, they'll control the series. I think also the other thing that stands against India for me in many ways is that they've got some talent in their batting lineup, but not a lot of experience in the conditions that are going to come their way. 2 top run scorers. I mean, it's hard to move away from Joe Root. I think for England, he has to be probably the favourite. India's a little bit more, tougher to predict in terms of, what are the replacements going to be for a Kohli and a Rohit Sharma. I'm starting to think maybe KL Rahul will get an opportunity in that lineup. He's found consistent form for them. I think his experience there would be key. So I'm actually going to back India to pick KL Rahul, and I'm going to back him to be the top performer.